The mountains had always been my escape. Tucked away from the noise of the city, the cabin sat like a secret between thick pines and crisp air, untouched by the chaos of modern life. After months of stressful deadlines and an unending stream of emails, I needed a break, a real one. So I packed up for the weekend, determined to disconnect and breathe again. The cabin wasn't some luxury resort. It was an old structure passed down from my grandfather. Wooden walls creaked with every step, and the fireplace smoked a little too much. But it was mine, simple, peaceful, and isolated. I'd made sure the property taxes were paid, the utilities functional, and I'd even notified the HOA out of courtesy, even though they technically didn't govern the upper edge of the neighborhood where the cabin stood. For company, I brought Morgan. We met in college, and though she went on to become a prominent civil rights attorney, we always made time for each other when life got overwhelming. This weekend, she needed a break as badly as I did. I didn't think twice before inviting her. She was sharp, kind, and carried herself like someone who knew how to handle trouble. If trouble ever came knocking, the first evening was perfect. We cooked over the fire pit, swapped stories, and watched the stars fill the sky like scattered diamonds. There was no cell service, which was exactly what I wanted. But even in that serenity, something felt off. Earlier in the day, we'd noticed a black SUV lingering at the edge of the trail that led to the main road. I assumed it was just someone lost or a curious neighbor, but Morgan hadn't liked the look of it. She had an instinct for this kind of thing. Still, we brushed it off and decided not to let paranoia ruin our weekend. After all, we weren't doing anything wrong. This was my property, and we had every right to be here. As the fire crackled and the smell of pine filled the air, I felt a kind of calm I hadn't felt in months. We turned in early, wrapped in blankets and silence, but that uneasy feeling, it was about to prove right, because someone was watching, and they were just waiting for the right moment to strike. It started with a loud crunch, like boots breaking branches just outside the cabin. Morgan sat upright instantly, alert in a way that only someone trained in confrontation could be. I rubbed my eyes, still half asleep, trying to make sense of the sound. Then came the knock, no, more like a pounding. Heavy fists against the cabin door. 3 quick thuds, then silence. And then a voice. "This is the HOA. Open the door immediately. You are in violation of community regulations." I froze. HOA? At midnight? Morgan stepped toward the door cautiously and looked through the peephole. Her voice was sharp and low. "You're not going to believe this." Before I could respond, the door exploded inward. Splinters flew as the wood gave way, ripped from its hinges. My heart jumped as 2 large men in black tactical gear stormed inside like we were dangerous fugitives. Behind them stood none other than Karen Delacroix, the president of the HOA, clutching a thick binder and wearing an expression like she was leading a federal raid. "You're under citizen's arrest," she declared with a smirk. "You've violated Article 7, Section C of the Community Code, no unauthorized overnight occupancy or subletting permitted." I blinked, stunned. This is my property. I'm not subletting anything. Karen ignored me and motioned to the 2 guards. "He's in violation. Detain him." One of the men grabbed my wrist and instinct took over. I pulled back, struggling, adrenaline pumping. Morgan shouted, "Let go of him. You have no right to detain anyone. This is illegal." The guards hesitated for a moment, clearly unsure if they were crossing a line. Karen, however, doubled down. "He's a threat to the safety of the neighborhood. I have the bylaws to prove it." I couldn't believe it. She had broken into my cabin in the dead of night with what looked like private security, all because of some HOA nonsense. The binder she waved around was not law. And nothing gave her the authority to smash in doors and make arrests. Morgan stepped between me and the guards. Her eyes were blazing now, her tone cold and commanding. You just broke into a private home. You're trespassing. And you're about to learn exactly what kind of mistake that was. Karen didn't realize it yet, but she had just picked the wrong night, the wrong cabin, and the wrong guest. Morgan didn't flinch. She stood between me and the hired guards like a wall, her expression a perfect mix of calm and deadly serious. The taller of the two men looked unsure now, glancing at Karen for confirmation. She was still waving her binder like it was a warrant. Morgan crossed her arms. "Let me be very clear," she began, voice steady but sharp. "You forcibly entered private property without a warrant, without law enforcement, and without any legal justification. That's breaking and entering. That's trespassing. And that's unlawful detention if you touch him again." Karen scoffed, clearly rattled by Morgan's composure. "We are authorized by the HOA to enforce community standards." Morgan raised an eyebrow. "The HOA is a homeowners association, not a law enforcement agency. You have no police authority. Your security detail? They're not officers. And right now, you're all violating state and federal law. I hope you're recording this because I am." With a calm motion, Morgan pulled out her phone and started filming. The guard shifted uncomfortably, clearly unsure if this was still worth the paycheck. Karen opened her mouth to respond but faltered. Morgan kept going, her voice gaining strength like a prosecutor in court. "You are not permitted to enter this cabin without a court order. There's no lease violation, no tenant-landlord dispute, and no emergency justifying forced entry. You broke the door down on private land. That's going to cost you. And if you try to detain either of us again, I'll have you in front of a judge so fast your head will spin." Karen sputtered, her usual smugness cracking under pressure. "You think threats will scare me? I run this community. You ran it," Morgan cut in. "But tonight, you committed at least 3 crimes. And that security company? I guarantee they don't want to be sued for false imprisonment and illegal entry." The guard slowly backed away, no longer eager to grab anyone. Karen's confidence deflated. Morgan turned the phone to capture every face in the room. "This footage, combined with that broken door, is all the evidence we need. I'll be contacting law enforcement, filing a restraining order, and launching a civil suit by morning." Karen didn't respond. She just glared, speechless for once, before turning and storming out. The guards followed, leaving behind a busted door and a silence that was somehow louder than their arrival. By dawn, the cabin was quiet again, though the broken door still hung awkwardly from one hinge like a scar from the night before. I didn't sleep, neither did Morgan. She spent the early hours compiling footage, photographing the damage, and drafting legal documents with the focus of someone who'd done this dozens of times. Her calmness in chaos was something I'd always admired. But seeing it in action? That was something else entirely. Around 8 a.m., a sheriff's deputy arrived, having gotten wind of the incident through Morgan's early morning call and forwarded documentation. The look on his face as he examined the splintered door was all I needed to know. He wasn't impressed. "Let me get this straight," he said, flipping through Morgan's printed statement. "The HOA president ordered private security to break into your cabin and attempted to place you under citizen's arrest. For staying on your own property?" Morgan nodded. "No warrant. No probable cause, just intimidation and power abuse." The deputy sighed and scribbled down more notes. "This is the 3rd complaint I've heard this year involving her. But this is serious. She's not going to walk away from this one." That was just the beginning. Over the next week, Morgan filed restraining orders, a civil suit for property damage and emotional distress, and complaints with the state licensing board against the security company. We didn't need to blast it all over social media, but the story got out anyway. A neighbor who witnessed the commotion posted a video of the guards arriving, and within hours it had spread across local Facebook groups like wildfire. Karen Delacree quickly went from feared HOA president to internet pariah. As the video made rounds on HOA horror forums and local news stations picked up the story, public pressure mounted. The HOA board held an emergency meeting. Karen was suspended immediately and forced to resign 2 days later. In the following weeks, we received official apologies from the remaining board members, who were quick to distance themselves from Karen's rogue actions. The HOA covered the cost of a brand new, reinforced cabin door installed by contractors we chose. Morgan declined compensation for her legal work, saying it was too fun to charge for. She became somewhat of a legend around town. People started calling her the HOA Slayer, and as for me, I made one simple rule: never spend a weekend in the mountains without Morgan as my guest.